Not since the days of Marcus Garvey have so many African Americans set their hearts, minds, and souls towards Africa as their ancestral home. Now is the period of restoration of the inherent privileges and honor long denied the African American following the heinous slave trade. This is testified to by the number of African Americans being made and restored to their deserving traditional African status as chiefs in Africa. One of such people is Dr. Bowling of New York City.
Dr. Bowling was made the chief of Gomoa Aquacrom, a community in the central region of Ghana, which is an hour drive from the capital, Accra. The village, with a population of about 13,000, has a school, a few Christian churches, and running water, but no electricity. With the exception of the non-resident citizens who work in the cities, majority of the people are subsistence farmers, but hardworking and very determined to put their resources together to raise their standard of living. The installment of Dr. Bowling highlighted the annual festival of the chiefs and people of the area. The festival is called Apambo, which literally means clearing of ancestral paths. These are paths to the ancestral shrines of the people. The festival also marks cleansing of the society of its evils and brings together people from all walks of life. It's also a period for reconciliation and a time when sacrifices are offered to all the divinities of the area for their blessings. It's during these periods when new chiefs are installed, as experienced by Dr. Bowling.
The installment ceremony started in the morning, around 11 o'clock. Dr. Bowling and his Mandela Cultural Tour Group were met on arrival at the outskirts of the town by the traditional militia who feature most prominently in all installment ceremonies in Ghana. The traditional militia, known as Asafo in the Akan ethnic language of Ghana, forms an integral part of the traditional political setup. Historically, the entire government of any Akan community was both military and civilian.
The traditional militia is still an important institution with varied functions. It rises up to all emergencies. It performs on all important occasions like festivals and installment of new chiefs. A new chief swears an oath of allegiance to the militia, and the militia swears to the new chief in turn. We are getting to the most significant part of the first half of the installation ceremony. Dr. Bowling, riding shoulder high, goes round the shrine of the militia. The shrine embodies the souls of the people and is the most significant meeting ground of the militia and on all ceremonial occasions. He goes round the shrine 3 times, followed by the youth, the women, children, and the militia. Seated at the shrine are two elders and a chief in readiness to receive Dr. Bolin, meaning an acceptance by the deities and ancestral spirits. Dr. Bolin wears gold and black, gold signifying moments of happiness, and the black indicating mourning period for his predecessor. Dr. Bolin is to be received by the chief, literally referred to as Obatan. Dr. Bolin dances gracefully, indicating he is the rightful chief of the place. Bolin is being seated on the laps of the chief 3 times. We experience the first, second, and the third time, which is an acceptance by the people, by the ancestral spirits, by the deities, and by all the people of the village. He now takes on the title, which is African and Ghanaian, Nana, and no longer Dr. Bolin. Occasions like this brought together people from all walks of life. Dr. Bolin seated comfortably on the laps of the chief. He is barefooted, an indication that he is at an holy ground. Dr. Bolin is being congratulated by members of the Mandela tour group from New York. They embrace their new king, their new chief, Dr. Bolin. The ivory horn sounds his appellations, his praises, telling him of the reasons why he was chosen as the chief of the people. That's the pouring of libation by the linguist of the village, which snaps to the ancestral spirits and the deities of the shrine. The ancestors are viewed as the best group of intermediaries between men and God, hence their invocation and involvement in all ceremonies and rituals. The shrine is called Pusuban in the Fanti language of Ghana. Pusuban means fortress. It's usually located at where victory was won in a major war or where a famous warrior was slain. He calls on the various names of the deities and all departed ancestors. He shows the schnapps to the sky, indicating that we don't give schnapps to God, but we call his attention on occasions like these. That's Safohene, the chief responsible for traditional military services. Safohene is in most cases succeeded by his son, even though traditionally Akans succeed matrilineally. Safohene wields a scepter, which is normally the tail of a horse, and that's what he holds now. The scepter of Safohene, the horse tail, is testified by a proverb in Akan, which states, Ponko Ankwasa, Nidria Kwasa, which literally means if the horse does not go to the battlefield, the tail does. Nana Yenku Bolin is now in seclusion and being adorned in gold by the Queen Mothers. The Queen Mother nominates the candidate to be made chief. The Queen Mother is recognized authority on the genealogy of the stool family and can therefore decide whether a candidate is eligible or not. Electors of a king have an obligation to ask the Queen Mother to first nominate a candidate. If a first nominee is not accepted by the people, he could nominate a third person, after which, when the nominee is not accepted by the electors can then choose a candidate of their own, but even that has to be approved of by the Queen Mother. Dr. Bolin, Nana Bolin, now being adorned in solid gold in various symbols. The king is adorned with various symbols and emblems in gold, some of which are pyramids. The pyramids are symbols which indicate that the Khans of Ghana trace their ancestral heritage back to Pharaonic Egypt and beyond. Some are also the leaves. The leaf is a symbol of peace, depicting Africa as a peaceful continent and very hospitable to all visitors, a factor which in fact played a role in their easy colonization by the European powers. That's the symbol of the heart, which shows the love and understanding the king must have for his people. It teaches the African concept of love for one another and being each other's keeper. It shows the spirit of togetherness among Africans prior to colonization, which divided Africa into various fallen language blocks. That's the shedding of the old garments for the new. Its famous traditional fabric, kente, with gold indicating the richness of Africa, its people and cultures, and chains that crisscross over the gold background, which also calls for unity among people of Africa and those in the diaspora, as well as blacks all over the world. The chain also illustrates interdependence on each other for effective exploitation and utilization of African resources, both human and material. A great deal of preparations go into the enthronement ceremony, most of which is done in private, but we are privileged today to see. These innocent girls, these virgins, are part of the chief's entourage. It shows the relevance and sacred nature of the Ghanaian chieftain's institution. These girls, considered the grandchildren of the chief, are being decorated with clay obtained locally. The white symbolizes peace, victory, and happiness. The red shows the blood of the ancestors and the predecessors of the chief who waged wars and toiled to keep the valley together. And the blue, which symbolizes the sky, indicates their relation to God as their ultimate and protector. These symbols have meanings. The symbol on the girl in the background represents the wisdom knot, which shows the wisdom of our fathers.
Before Dr. Bowling can ride into Palenque, a libation is poured, invoking the spirits of the ancestors and the deities for safety and success of the function.
That's the moment we've been waiting for. Here comes the chief in full regalia, rich and gold. Seated in front of the chief is his mythical soul, called Okra in the Ghanaian language. Nana Bolin goes up, a moment of excitement and anxiety. Okra is seated in front of the chief. She is the mythical soul of the chief. She dances gracefully, directing to the 4 cardinal points of the village, telling a story that the chief owns every part of the land. Libation is continually poured to sustain the interest and blessings of the spirits of the ancestors for their protection and success of the installation ceremony. That's the moment. Everybody's happy. The chief, Nana Yenkumbodi, dances gracefully. That's the state umbrella. That's the traditional drums called impinsin. They are drummed during ceremonies that relate only to chiefs. The 2 joint drums represent the male and the female, which show the Ghanaian Akan language as tonal language. Here comes chiefs of the village with their retinue. They are Nana Ekrogo Ameju, the chief of the village, and Nana Kobina Nkatsia, the parliament chief of Sekendi Eskadu, which is about 3-hour drive from where the ceremony is taking place. Libation still continues, which show ancestral veneration of these people in Africa. The wives of the chiefs are also part of the entourage. Nana Ekrogo Ameju, the elder of the chief's family, Nana Kofi Sam, the ivory horn continues sounding the praises and the appellations of Nana Yenkuboli, the new chief being installed today. Still the libation. The ancestors of every clan, which is 7 in every village, are called and drinks poured to invoke their blessings on special occasions like the installment of an African American from the city of New York in the States in Ghana. Nana Yenkuborin is paraded the 4 corners of the street amidst drumming and musketry, and all the women calling him Nano, 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 which literally means our new chief, 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 chief. These young girls in white have every reason to be happy. There are a group from a church that is in the village. They see in Dr. Bolin new hope, inspiration, and a catalyst to their developmental efforts. They are happy. They are calling in the name of the Almighty God to protect this new chief and give him prosperous and generous reign. They are thanking God for providing them such an occasion. They should be happy. They are young girls. That's the future of the village. They also see in Dr. Bolin, now Nana Yenkuboli, a connectedness between the African American and Africans. Now the music is nothing but religious music. It's taking over the traditional music, which shows that installment of a new chief involved the entire community. Everybody, the children, the men, the women, the elders, and the old ladies, everybody has a stake in it. A moment of happiness, a moment of excitement, a time to reckon with them, a time to live, a time to invoke the spirits of the ancestors.
Preceding the procession are young girls carrying different types of traditional African fabric in suitcases. Others carry the traditional stools, which symbolize the authority of the new chief. The stools and the suitcases also symbolize the wealth of the chief. The procession includes the king's wives and servants who will be at his beck and call, ready to serve him any hour of the day or night. One unique feature of this occasion and occasions like this is the number of people who get possessed by the ancestral spirits and deities.
These girls are believed to have been possessed by the spirits and are not conscious of what is happening to them. It's the belief of the people that installment of new chiefs and all other festive occasions like these are participated in not only by the living, but also by the spirits of their ancestors and the deities. And these spirits manifest themselves in possession, like these girls are experiencing here. One way of getting the spirits rid out of the people possessed is to put any piece of stick in their hair, as you see over here. This woman, not possessed, is the leader of the local church, but she seems emotionally moved by what is going on now. No installment ceremony is complete without a number of chiefs in the area. They finally get to the Deba ground. after parading the main streets of the village. Among the chiefs who participated in the ceremony was the paramount chief of Sekendi Esikado, Professor Nana Kwabena Nkatia, and his queen mother. Professor Nkatia was one time a visiting professor in the Caribbean and the chancellor of the University of Ghana. He was also very instrumental in Ghana's struggle for independence from the British. Some of these guys are still possessed, and sometimes it will be necessary to perform some rituals before they can get these spirits out of them. They are now at the Deva ground. Nana Yenkubolin, now out of his palanquin, and arrives at the Deva ground. Nana Yenkubolin is still flanked by the people. This time they are singing Christian songs, which is saying that they are victorious. In the name of our Lord, everything has gone on successfully, and now they have a king. They are victorious. They have won the war. The installation ceremony was not marked by any negative incidents. They are happy and praising God. Seated here is the Obatan in readiness to receive Nana Yenkuboli, another ritual for the new chief to go through before he is formally, traditionally, and officially given his new title and new name. The towel indicates how the people are ready to serve him. They're telling him he's the chief and they will be at his beck and call. He's gradually getting seated on the Nana Batan. Nana Batan literally symbolizes the mother of all the chiefs, who welcomes all people home after many years of journey. And here, Dr. Bolin, having been separated from his people for over 400 years, is warmly welcomed home by his people. And here, the chief Nana Batan represents the people, represent the deities, represent the ancestral spirits, represent everybody. Nano, Nano, Nano literally means chief, chief, chief. And that's the linguist staff of the new chief. They are finding him, they are singing his praises, they are happy. This is not make-believe. They have not feigned. It's the real situation. It's from the bottom of their hearts. He is accepted by the people. This is the real connectedness between the African American and the African. It's not only the Ghanaians who are happy, but also the groups from the Mandela Cultural Center in New York who accompanied Dr. Bolin. Some sang in jubilation that they were home. Some watched with excitement the unadulterated African culture being unfolded to them, feeling the pride in calling themselves born Africans in America.
This is the flag barrier. He is performing intricate maneuvers that depict the way war is waged by the traditional militia. Every movement tells a story. These men are very skilled and very brave. The flag generally carries an emblem. that depict the victories of the militia in all the wars it has waged against its enemies. The flag barrier, dancing intricate steps, establishing rapport with the ancestral spirits and deities. This is a very sacred time for the militia. They dance with pride and with honor. They tell the stories of their ancestors. A very moving performance.
The flag barrier continues dancing. The installment ceremony of Nana Yenkubolin involved the entire community and the people from the surrounding towns and villages. Here arrived at the Deba ground the Adontanhene of the area, the most powerful chief in the area, who graces the occasion with his presence. He is Nana Obentikuma in traditional Ghanaian fabric, blue in color and accompanied by the Queen Mother. They walk majestically to take their seats at the Deba ground. An exciting moment, a colorful Deba. Nana Obentikuma gets seated. He's welcomed by his people according to custom, and his Okra gets seated in front of him. Beside him is his Queen Mother. Among the dignitaries who participated in the ceremony were the delegates of the United States Ambassador to Ghana, the District Director of Education, Mr. Anderson, and members of Parliament. And this is the Paramount King, the Paramount Chief of Sekendi Esikado, a renowned academician and a professor, occupying the traditional stool in the western part of Ghana, another area that has large number of falls and slave engines in Ghana along the coast of Africa. Hundreds of people are over here. Everybody looks on with admiration and excitement. The culture that is unfolding itself at Gomwa Aquacrom in the central region of Ghana and an hour drive from the capital, Accra. The children are involved. They all have a role to play. The old ladies are there. These girls are the cultural troupe in the village called Apatampa. The beauty, the virginity, and the innocence of the African girl features prominently over here. They grace the occasion. They highlight the occasion. These girls are singing the praises of Dr. Bolin, Nana Yenku Bolin, and they are simply saying that their new chief means business. He has a sense of commitment to help them raise their standard of living, to help them better their Lord, to open new opportunities. The Adontanhene of the Gomoa traditional area, Nana Obensikuma, dances to the tune of the traditional drums. Here dances a very powerful chief in the area, to the admiration of the people. Another chief takes his turn. That's Nana Saki, the chief of Aguna Nsaba, about an hour drive from where the ceremony is taking place. Nana Saki takes on intricate steps to the tune of the traditional drums. That's the impinting drums used for recreation in all rural communities of Ghana, and most importantly in the palaces of chiefs. The drums have an important role to play in the traditional setup. The drummer uses the drum to transmit messages to the warriors on battlefield. The drummer gives them directions. It's possible to send drum messages across hundreds of miles. Here dances to the drums a queen mother. She dances gracefully. The drums are also used to sound the appellations of a chief, calling his name and telling him of his genealogy or ancestry. It's used to warn of imminent danger, outbreak of fire, or announce the death of a member of a community. Drums are generally used to rally members of a village together for any important occasion. And here, no one can resist dancing to the tunes of these traditional drums. It's infectious and everybody's caught up. Here come the representatives of the Youth Association of Gomoa Aquachrome, where Dr. Bolin, Nana Yenku Bolin, was installed. They presented him a stool symbolizing palm fruit, which indicates nourishment and the father to whom is attracted the whole community. They wear the emblem of Nana Yenku Bolin. The palm fruit is very useful in all its aspects. It draws together all the people and it nourishes the people. They also presented to him a staff with 3 heads, indicating 3 heads are better than one, meaning he should always go into council with them. This staff also carries an emblem which shows a hand carrying an egg, also indicating that power is an egg. If you don't handle it carefully, it breaks down from your hand. Then it has the symbol of Sankofa, a bird symbolizing looking back to the past in order to move forward, remembering our culture, our history, and our God. Reconnectedness of the African American with African. He is also presented with a sword. The sword and the stool are the symbols of his authority, without which he cannot administer any justice over the people. The sword and the stool are the real symbols of authority in any Ghanaian traditional societal setup, as far as chieftaincy is concerned.
Nana Yakun Bolin now goes to swear an oath of allegiance to the people after the community has sworn first to him. The oath indicates his commitment to his people and his readiness to respond to their call, rain or shine, day or night.
Whenever I'm called, I will respond. I, Yanko Bowling the First, swear to not anew, whether in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, whenever I'm called, I will respond, except I'm ill. I, Nana Yanko Bowling the First, swear to not anew, whether in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, whenever I'm called, I will respond, except I'm...
Clap for him! Clap for him! Clap for him! Clap for him! Clap for him!
Another significant highlight of the ceremony is the slaughtering of a sheep, the blood of which will be spilled on the feet of Dr. Bowling. And with that ritual, his new title, Nana Yanko Bowling I, Nkoswahili of Gomwa Akoko, will be finally and customarily conferred on him.
The slaughtering of the sheep is very significant for a number of reasons. First, the blood of the sheep depicts cleansing of the new chief and the people of whatever ills might be in store for them following the installation ceremony. It symbolizes prosperous reign of the new chief. Secondly, sacrificing the sheep is an expression of thanksgiving to the spirits of the ancestors and the deities, making the ceremony grand and successful without any negative incidents. This is because African religions stress ancestral veneration. It also symbolizes the seal of the acceptance of the new chief by the people and the expression of happiness. The mutton, which is the flesh of the sheep, is used to prepare a delicious meal, which is enjoyed by the participants in the ceremony. An act of sharing of a common meal, which means reconciliation and togetherness. Sheep is traditionally considered sacred and the most useful domestic animal, the blood of which atones for the sins and ills of the society. The horns of the sheep are useful in the preparation of charms.
The hairs of the sheep make beautiful embroidered switches, which are done in some traditional dances among some Akan ethnic groups in Ghana. The hair is also used in the making of talisman or juju, worn as a protection against ills or mishaps. And finally, but not the least, the bones are polished, cut, strung on a thread, and worn as necklaces, wristlets, armlets, or anklets by some Akan priestesses and priests in Ghana. Among the rituals done in private before the installation ceremony were the adoption of Dr. Bowling, customary and formally, into a clan, the head of which is Nana Kofi Sam, also known as Mr. Albert Kwenu, who is now speaking. The chief of the area, Nana Ekrogo Ameju I, reads a formal welcome speech to Nana Yanku Bowling and his entourage. He outlines what the people are doing to help raise their standard of living. Nana Ameju also announces the construction of a daycare and adult literacy center called Dr. Bowling Daycare and Adult Literacy Center. A foundation stone of the center is laid by Dr. Bowling.
For the teachers and the pupils. The remaining 2 classrooms are under repairs. It will be of interest to learn that some of the streets in the town have been tarred, and we hope to extend them to the main road. My simple duty is just to welcome you, but at the same time, I feel constrained to digress a bit to demonstrate the fact that the people of Bomoakokrom are determined and have accepted the responsibility to be in the vanguard towards the development of their town.
Nana Yanku Bowling delivers his acceptance speech.
Accept this great honor of being the Nkosahen of Aquacrom. On behalf of myself, on behalf of the delegation that accompanied me from New York, friends and family, on behalf of all the ancestors that cannot make it back, who died in the slave fields of the South from America, those who died in the oceans making the crossing, all those who wish to have come home and never return, I accept this great honor because I have returned. It is said in America, one of the things that keep us going in America and keep our spirits alive as African Americans. And grandparents used to always tell us, one day the circle will close. Today, the great serpent has swallowed its tail and the circle has closed. We have come back home. We who left the shores of Africa more than 400 years ago have come back with a new knowledge, a new search. We've been guided by the ancestors to Aquacom. Here our souls will lie and rest in peace, knowing that we're back home. We have come to enrich our culture here and have our culture here at Aquacom enrich us. It's said one of the proverbs in psychology and in our tradition in the West, it said that one day the dragon in the West will awaken. There's no doubt that the united African mind throughout the world, throughout the diaspora, is awakening. People all over the world of African descent are looking to Mother Africa for a new knowledge, a new consciousness, a new spiritual guidance. We're coming home, and those of us who cannot come back in physical presence will come back through the writings of myself and other people, through our teachings here in the West, in New York, South America, North America, Central America. We will serve as channels, as bridges to Mother Africa. We will begin to teach about the United African mind, the Pan-African consciousness, and we will lead the path for others to come home. So again, thank you for this great honor. I accept it on behalf of myself and all the people who have accompanied me.
The desire by our people in Africa to seek permanent connectedness with their sisters and brothers in the diaspora has manifested itself in many ways, one of which is the installment of African Americans as chiefs in a number of African communities like Ghana. A number of African Americans on visits to Africa have also been adopted into African clans or families and given African names. Another significant aspect of the situation is that a lot of African Americans have become traditional African priests and priestesses.
These African American traditional priests and priestesses got possessed by the spirits of their ancestors and deities on their visit to Africa and were initiated into traditional African priesthood. Professor Nana Kwabena Nketia, Parliament Chief of Sekendi Escado, a politician and an academician who chaired the instrument ceremony of Nana Bowling, has these remarks.
Dr. Bowling a very unique historic occasion. And I think that Chief Summers have discussed the whole Back to Africa movement idea with Marcus Garvey, because it was from this office in London that Marcus went to Jamaica and founded the UNIA. Ghanaian leaders never forgot the Black American, ever. In 1911, Kingsley Hayford published his famous book, Ethiopia Unbound, and in which book he discussed the plight of the Black American and the West Indian, especially having been cut away from their culture for centuries. He didn't believe in Afro-Americans. He believed in Africans sojourning in a strange country. And he was the first person to suggest to Black American universities to institute Black Studies departments, 1911. This was long before Herskovits, Professor Herskovits, started his experiment at the Northwestern University. In 1920, Kingsley Hayford organized his Congress of British West Africa in Accra and talked to the Congress about what Black America is doing. That we should encourage them to come back to see Black Americans in Africa. In his book, Ethiopia Unbound, he seriously recommended to Black Americans to search and trace their origin to one of the tribes in West Africa, long before Alex Haley published his Roots. Kingsley Hayford's greatest associate was lawyer Kobna Sechi of Cape Coast. He wrote a series of articles entitled The Pattern of the Ways, Black Man's Ways, White Man's Ways. It was extremely clear-headed, very uncompromising as a patriot. And in these articles, he thought that Black Americans should come with their know-how of technology and their capital and help develop Africa. And you can see the significance of the installation of Nana Yaku Bolin here. Kingsley Hayford and Sechi thought the way they thought because of their belief in the capability of the Black American. They knew this because as they worked in Cape Coast and Sekondi, they had in Sekondi the African Union Incorporated, which was a company, Black American company, of architects, agriculturists, engineers who were working in Sekondi Takoradi, building houses, went into agriculture, and they went into the timber industry. But the Englishman didn't want the Black American here working. They were teaching hundreds and hundreds of boys and girls in all sorts of trades, carpentry, shoemaking, whatever. And they wanted to dam the River Pra and bring electricity to Sekondi. And the English got wind of this and drove them out of the country. They landed in Liberia. So what we have witnessed here could only happen in independent Ghana. And I'm happy that it happened. And I hope more black Americans will come and help develop Africa.